Hey everyone, I hope everybody is doing okay and staying safe. Today I have a very interesting build for you guys. This is a bleed Lacerate Gladiator which is designed for hardcore SSF. As such, it has very high survivability, no required uniques, and has a cherry on top, very good damage. This is not a new build and many people are currently using it even in Delirium. And by the end of this guide, you will find out why over 7% of all level 80 and above characters in SSF Delirium Hardcore are using this specific build. We'll go over the gems, gear, passive tree at the end. We will have a general discussion about the build and pros and cons of this build. Okay, let's go over the gems. As I mentioned, this is a Lacerate build. In our main 6 links, we want to have Lacerate, Brutality, 45 multi-strike, melee physical damage, and Rage. Rage, the reason for Rage is because we want to use Berserk. If you don't want to do that, you may as well just go Ruthless or any other gems that you can play around with it and see which one you like. In our cast and damage, we are going to do increase duration, wall molten shell, both for molten shell and wall molten shell, because the increased duration is going to be really nice on wall molten shell as well. We are going to have Tempest Shield for the block chance. This is a block character. As you can see, we have 67% block and spell block. In one of our weapons, we are going to have Blood Magic, Leap Slam, and Fast Attack. We get the 45 from our main link setup. So Blood Magic is really nice just to make sure that we are never going to get stuck because we don't have enough mana. In our gloves, we are going to have a pseudo 6 link, which we are going to go over. But currently we have the level 20 chance to bleed and level 18 faster attacks because it's the other gloves. We can do that. Of course, we want to have a spike glove. But if you don't have any of those things, remove any of these gems, especially for faster attack. Chance to bleed is really nice, especially because we are heavily investing in bleeding. But you can drop that as well. Just see which one will give you the most damage. This is additional damage. For bossing, forever, there's like a hard character that we really want to kill. For auras, we are going to have Pride for damage. Berserk, as I mentioned, when you have 50 rage, it's going to give you a lot more damage and you're going to be a lot more survivable when you have this up. And you want to use this for specific bosses or like end of the map bosses, basically. We are going to have War Banner for damage, Flesh and Stone, and we are going to be in Blood Stance again for more damage. Currently, we have vulnerability on one of our rings. If you cannot get that ring at the beginning, you can, if you don't want to cast it you can cast it manually, of course, but if you don't want to cast it, you can just put it instead of the Tempest Shield until you get to the level and you craft your gear to that level. Okay, let's go over the gear. This is the attack character, and as such, we want to have like the best type of weapon that we can. This is the base weapon I wanted to put in for your comparison. This tier 2% physical and tier 2 added physical damage with the Siege Axe, and even then we're still doing considerable amount of damage, almost 500,000 damage total, and our bleed DPS is 350,000 damage, which we are going to go over to our total damage and how we calculate it when we are going over the tree. But you can get a lot better weapons than this. Just the attack speed, better physical damage, maybe a hybrid, anything would work. But even with just 2 affixes in this weapon, we're still doing considerable amount of damage. For your shield, you can use any shield. Of course, this is a good choice for us, the Lionized Remorse, because it gives us a lot of life and a lot of armor, which is something that we need, and it has like a good chance to block. Those are the things that are important. Even if it's not a unique shield, you can get any other shield that has like high life and high chance to block, because we do care about our block. For our helmet, anything would work. Currently we have this helmet, a lot of life, some resistances, and we have some chance to avoid element of ailments, which is really nice for us. At the same time, we have Berserk, reduced rage loss. You don't need to have this, of course. This is SSF and this build is designed for SSF, but you can get a lot of other enchantments that are going to be good for this character, namely Lacerate is going to be really nice for us. For our body armor, again, we have life and resistances. That's all we care about. If you can get any of the good uniques, that would be nice for us. You want to have as much life as you can. For that reason, you may want to go with Belly of the Beast, for example. Percentage life really going to be nice for us. For gloves, as I mentioned, this is something that you have to craft for yourself. Hopefully on a spike glove elder item, we want to have the chance to bleed and we want to have faster attacks. So we have a pseudo C6 link for our ancestral Vault Chief, which is going to be our added damage. In our boots, again, we want to have a good movement speed because we want to be going fast. This is a general character, so it's both for bossing and for mapping. So the faster you are, the better you feel when you finish a map, and the faster you finish a map. So we want to have life, resistances, and movement speed as much as you can. And on any piece of gear, if you can get it, it's always nice to have some chaos resistance. For amulets, this is the physical damage again. As I mentioned, we want to have life, resistances, the normal thing. If you can get added physical damage, we are doing area damage and attack speed, all those nice things. For rings, again, life, resistances for both of them. If you can get some added physical damage, that's always going to be nice for us. And we want to eventually have that vulnerability on hit, so we don't have to use the cast and damage taken. That there are two reasons for that. First, vulnerability on hit means that you're gonna automatically curse everyone, even the white mobs. You don't have to proc your cast when damage taken. And secondly, it's gonna open up one gem for us. That's gonna mean the Tempest Shield, which is gonna be another 3% block chance for us. For our belt, of course, SSF HC is the best type of belt in the game, especially for life characters. So life, resistances, and SSF HC. We want to have like anything you can find. Chance to gain onslaught is really nice for characters. Life, chaos resistance, the normal things. The same thing for all the jewels. If you can get it, life, chance to onslaught, chance for gaining onslaught, basically. Life, physical damage leashed as mana is going to be nice. You have to have that somewhere. And corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. I would start rolling anything that I can find, any jewel that I can find that's useful, and eventually you get one of these and just put it there. And because, keep in mind, in our jewels we have a shield, so attack damage while having a shield, physical attack damage, all those things helps us. Let's start discussing the Ascendancy and passive skill tree. We choose Gladiator for three main reasons, these two nodes as well as this node. This node gives us block chance, spell block chance equals to our attack block chance, which makes us a lot more tankier. This node gives us the 10% increased physical damage taken, which is a more multiplier for us, as well as the chance to cause bleeding, which is really nice because we want to get to 100% chance to cause bleeding, as well as the bleeding enemies you kill explode, dealing 10% of their maximum life as physical damage. This is very similar to the exploding chest if you're familiar with them. Basically, any enemy that is bleeding when you kill it is going to explode, dealing 10% of their life as physical damage to nearby enemies, which means that if you kill a pack, a couple of enemies in a pack, the explosion is going to be enough to kill the rest of the pack. And this is going to increase your clear speed and the feel of the character. So this is going to be a really nice character for both bossing, for your tankiness and your damage, as well as for mapping, because you have the explosion from here, and this is one of the easier way of getting it in an SSF platform. We do pass through here. We go over this block cluster as well as this block cluster as well as this one. Both for damage for this node and like some sort of ability, as you can see, chance to block, always nice. The same thing here. We do have some life. We grab a jewel socket. We do all these bleeding clusters, these small bleeding clusters here to get our chance to bleed higher and the damage. Life, we do go over these two axe clusters as well, because we are using axes, and for damage it's going to be really nice for us. And some more life, as you can see, and basically you see we have a lot of life, which we prioritize because it's a hardcore character. Then we prioritize chance to block, again hardcore character, we want to have as much defenses as we can, and then damage, bleeding damage with priority, if not physical damage, axe damage while holding a shield. And that's our general tree. This is a level 100 character. This was copied from a character who's successfully played 2 level 100 in Delirium SSF Hardcore. And if you want to drop some levels, if you're not still 100, the passing is very simple. You pass from here, 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 you go all the way to here, and then at last you go for life whenever you feel like you need it. But as you can see, you can drop all these here, and that's going to be a level 95. You can drop some of the life here, you can drop these nodes or drop some of these nodes for the block chance. Again, not all of them are necessary when you start, and you can drop them based on the level that you are. Lastly, I want to talk about Resolute Technique and our Crimson Dance. Resolute Technique, we do not use any critical strike. We cannot use critical strike chance or multiplier for our bleeding instances. So there's no point in going crit and having to worry about the accuracy of your character. So Resolute Technique solves that problem really nice for us. You can take this as early as you feel like you need to. Crimson Dance reads that your bleeding does not deal extra damage while the enemy is moving, but at the same time you can have up to 8 times instances of bleeding on the same enemy and 50% less damage with bleeding. This in total means that we can have 8 instances of the bleed DPS that you can see here on the same enemy. That's how you calculate the damage of this specific build. Basically, if you've hit the enemy 8 times already, you're gonna have 8 instances of bleed on the same enemy, each one of them going for 346,000 damage per bleed instance, which means in total you're doing about 2.6 million damage on Shaper level, which is really nice. It's more than enough damage. You have hit damage, which is not substantial. You have the Ancestral Warshift totems, which is gonna add to your damage when you need the damage output to be really high. So you have a lot of damage. You can easily do any content in this game, and that's why this character is so nice. Okay, as I mentioned for the last piece of this build, let's go over some of the pros and cons of the build and talk about the build a little bit. We already talked about it. We have good physical damage reduction, we have good block chance, we have good fire resistances, general resistances, because we do get the Soul of Steel. We have a very tanky character from defensive layers. Good resistances, good block chance, very good block chance, and very good effective life pool, which is 7,000 life pool. You won't get this as early as you may be thinking. It's going to take some good gear to get to this much and some high level characters, but you can easily get to 6.5, like with level 85 characters and just random gear, which is still going to be really nice for this character. Block chance is really nice, especially for mapping, because if you are hit 10 times, the probability is you are going to block 6 to 7 times, 6 to 7 of those 10 hits. So when you get hit multiple times with small amounts, that means that you're going to block a lot of them, and the rest that survive and get past your block chance, you have good physical damage reduction and you have good resistances. So from the tankiness of this character, this is going to be a really tanky character, which is why so many people are playing this in hardcore. From the other strengths of this character, I would say it has a very good movement speed. As you can see, the movement speed we have is 62%, which is really nice, and it has a very satisfying clear speed because of the bleeding pops or the bleed explosions that we get from our Ascendancy. So your clear speed is really nice. From the cons perspective, you're going to be, a lot of people don't like melee playstyle. Even this is Lacerate, this is an AoE by default, it's still somewhat a melee character. So you have to be somewhat close to the enemy and you have to be clicking a lot. It's not a spell which you can cast from like one screen away. It's not a minion build which you can just move around and just pick up the loot. No, this is an actual active build. So depending on the person, that may be a pro or a con, depending on what you'd like to do. I generally do like to play active characters at least once in a league, but I don't want every one of my characters to be have very active play style, because and this character doesn't, it has like very active play style, but at the same time You do not have that many secondary buttons to push. The only one being that whenever you see a boss, you want to put down your Ancestral Warchief totem and maybe your raw Ancestral Warchief. That's pretty much all there is to it. This is not the type of character that even if you're very lucky and you get to the really end game and get very good drops, you still won't get past 4 million damage. There's a hard cap on, not a hard cap, somewhat hard cap on damage over time builds in this game, and this is one of the builds that takes very good advantage of the early strengths of damage over time, but at the end, just like any other damage over time character, it's gonna fall off. But this is a design for SSF hardcore, so the probability of you reaching actually that cap is very low. We talked about the skills, we talked about the items, we talked about the tree, we talked about the pros and cons of the build, and I mentioned why this is a really good character. Hopefully you'll pick this character up if you're playing. Next league may be Hardcore Souls F bound, and I hope you enjoyed yourself. Thank you so much.